We are going to start this evening and kick off tonight's event. First things first, appreciate it's Tuesday and it's a real early school night in the week. So just give yourself a round of applause for making it this evening. Strong effort. I noticed a few people, because it is only a Tuesday, avoiding alcohol. So well done. You're sticking to your New Year's resolutions. Those of you drinking alcohol, well done, because you're going to have a good time this evening, and hopefully it's on good supply. So as I mentioned, my name's James Ski. I'm the founder of Sales Confidence. Our vision really is to build the most valuable B2B sales community globally eventually, but we're focused and have been for the last 5 years in the UK. None of this would be possible without our partners, many of which are in the room. The way that we've selected our partners over the year is best of breed. I get a lot of calls, a lot of young startups from all around the world that want to feature, want to be in the room, and I say to most, no thank you. But these are really committed to helping support the community, and if you're going to use their stack, make sure you CC me into the email when you sign it off so I get a little bump. So this evening's format, can I just get a hand raise if you've been to a Sales Confidence event before? Amazing, welcome back. Can I get a hand raise if you're a partner or a member? Amazing, thank you for your support. Can I get a hand raise if this is your very first event? Welcome. All right, look, we've got a great mixed crowd this evening. And just for those newbies, just in terms of the format and how we run this, in essence, I've got the joy of hosting this event with my wonderful co-host, Owen from Air Marketing, who I'll invite up into the stage shortly. We will have a brief opening introduction. Then we're going to invite one of our partners up, Elaine Tyler, who is the CEO and founder of Venetrix, and she's going to talk about how she can support you with BDR and SDR recruitment. And then we will kick off the first speaker. So the speakers get 7 minutes, so it's high impact, practical insights, stories, experience, and tips. And then once each speaker has spoken, then there's a Q&A which Owen will host. So hold your questions to that Q&A. At the end, I will share an update on the Sales Confidence membership, how we can support your teams. We've been listening to your feedback. We understand how there's a lot of challenges right now. I've literally had 2 people walk up to me today. They literally found out in the last week that they've been made redundant. It's tough out there for a lot of people. The market conditions are very challenging, and I believe, the idea of a peer-to-peer community where you can pull on each other is a valuable asset, and that's kind of how I want to support you. And then once that's over, obviously we can enjoy more networking to 9:30. So can we just have a round of applause to our co-host, Owen, from Air Marketing. Owen.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. This double act, we're working on it.
This is the worst bit of the night, just to be clear.
Look, we always do the prep for this in the cloakroom or the bathroom before. Why do you just want to share an update? Like, we've had a year of events. This is the penultimate leaders one. What have you enjoyed this year, and what are you excited about tonight?
I've really enjoyed moving away from plastic in the lanyards. That's been a real step up, and I think seeing your new branding come to light this year has been wonderful as well. And from looking at you and what you're doing, the membership coming along has been fantastic. I think from an events perspective, I don't want to look back too far, but getting people back in the room has been really nice. I think you and I were stood here, probably not 18 months ago, and worried about whether we'd fill the room and whether you'd see half the seats full. And you look around the room tonight and you see it pretty much full. And I don't know how many we had signed up, but I think we got 90% turn up, which is fantastic. So I think that makes a difference to you, to us, and to everyone in the room.
Definitely. Appreciate you making the effort. What about Henley Regatta?
Yeah, Henley was good fun, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't remember the latter half of the afternoon and evening, but the first half was brilliant.
It's an annual event in our calendar now for members and partners, so look out for it next year. Even if you're not a fan of the rowing, you can come and just have a drink.
I didn't watch any rowing.
There you go. There's your answer. So can we just get Elaine Tyler up to the stage, please? Round of applause. Stay up.
Thank you.
Hello, Elaine. How's it
Hello.
going?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Just to shout out, Elaine was one of my very first partners and supporters, and like we've been on a massive journey building each other's businesses over the last few years, and we had an amazing SDR event the other day, didn't we?
Absolutely, yeah. So both James and I feel really passionate about working with people in the early stages of their career. We've been partnered with Sales Confidence, I don't know, maybe 5 years. And about 3 years ago, we kicked off the SDR and BDR event. So a couple of Wednesdays ago, we were joined by 120 people all looking to gain the same advantage that you guys are in this room, but at the junior level of their careers, which was super duper exciting.
It was indeed.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Elaine Tyler, and for those of you who don't recognize me, I've changed my hair color again, but this is Venatrix Pink, so look out for that. So I run Venatrix. We specialize in placing SDRs into fast growth technology businesses. Obviously, a very challenging time in the market now, as I'm sure you know the topic's going to be covered this evening. People are probably talking about in that room. So the advantage that SDRs can give your business is if they're typically new to market individuals, they may not have known the good times. So they weren't here in 2021, so they haven't got that comparison. So they can approach the market with fresh energy and hopefully go and win some opportunities for you. We've got a very unique process. So we gain a following of SDR candidates through the partnership with James. We put people from obscurity, from university careers fairs and university relationships. And we also do a lot of LinkedIn advertising to bring together cohorts of candidates and then help organizations successfully assess those people to understand who is actually going to be a successful salesperson in this market. So if you're interested in talking about that, if you're hiring for people now, if you're planning for next year and thinking, how can I add people to my team now who are going to impact me in Q1 because it's going to take 3 months to ramp, then give me a shout. If you don't want to do that, but you like seeing content about insights into the recruitment market, SDR hiring, the SaaS market in general, and the day-to-day life of somebody running a recruitment business, then connect with me on LinkedIn, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, also, so hold on, don't run. Just where are Sales Confidence's SDRs? Alex and Stevie. There they are. So literally, I know the Venatrix business so well, I thought I'd attempt to do it myself. And that's the problem a lot of us have. We think we can sift through all these CVs and it's a nightmare. And then I realized, Elaine, I need a favor. Can you run an assessment day? And we did. And within 24 hours, we hired Alex and Stevie. And you should get a call from each of them every day for the next week if you don't answer. So it does work. And please do be kind. Round of applause.
Yeah, just one final thing that I know is a big sticking point for sales leaders at the moment is we can help you with German-speaking, French-speaking, people in territory, and America. So not just London, not just the UK.
Amazing. Round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to bring up our first speaker. Just to be clear, they have 7 minutes, so we always give them a bit of an introduction, let you know a bit about their background so that they don't have to waste some of their 7 minutes doing that. Our first speaker today is Gerard McNamara, who's the Senior VP of Sales for North America and Europe at PatSnap. His title of his talk today is SDR Optimization, Overcoming the Activity versus Results Dilemma. Really interesting topic that we're hearing a lot about at the moment. Just to give you a bit of background on Gerard, he's got over 20 years of experience in the industry, made his start in sales with Xerox and has since held leadership roles with names such as Cision, Trenkite, Notified, and now he's joined PatSnap recently this year as their SVP for North America and Europe. Spin trained and MEDPIC certified. He's dedicated to high velocity pipeline creation, building and optimizing sales development teams. Could you welcome Gerard to the stage for me, please?
Thank you very much. It's good to see that there's such a focus already on SDR and top of funnel optimization, and that's really my passion as a sales leader. So I'm going to spend the next 7 minutes or so giving you some high-level tips, as I've been advised to, mistakes I've made, mistakes solved, to help with that. So we've kind of done the intros. So I'll start by getting your attention by saying that there's a health warning attached to this session, which is that the tips that I've got, they challenge conventional thinking. They're not yet another sort of rehash of what you might read in books. These are mistakes that I've made, that I've solved, and they're not comfortable mistakes to solve. And they also run counter to human nature. So I'll kind of unpack that a little bit before we get into the main piece. What do we mean by challenging human nature? Dysfunctions that I found in many sales development teams, right? Number one, SDRs primarily focused on themselves instead of focused on the customer. Number two, SDRs actually quite scared of getting on the phone, understandably. So they kind of spend their time on email, on social, and don't really dial much. And then my favorite, number three, which is something I've worked really hard to eradicate, which is the SDR over a pint once they've been promoted saying, geez, you know, if I'd known what it was like, I wouldn't have booked half the meetings that I'd booked as an SDR. We're like, right, well, that's got to stop. And this is all human nature, right? You've got human nature is there to, it's self-preservation. Self-preservation, I don't want to get rejected. I'm going to focus on doing anything but getting rejected. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm not trained to focus on what's important, which is how the customer feels when I'm interacting with them. And then finally, you know, number three, which is focusing on your commission plan, however that is constructed on generating a meeting that holds that might not actually lead to anything. So those are the kind of human nature pieces at a high level. And then I just thought I'd ask the room on conventional thinking. The question is, you know, in an ideal world, should account executives, new logo hunters, really anybody with a new business target and a full end-to-end sales cycle, should they spend time on pipeline generation? So for those that think yes, please put your hands up now. And then for those who think no, put their hands up now. That's even better than I thought. So that's what I mean by conventional thinking. You know, even you know the most respected sales leaders will say that it's important to spend time on PG and generating your own leads. But my view is slightly different, and this is where I challenge conventional thinking, because you know, as a productivity tip, I've thought a lot about this and worked a lot on this. You know, productivity invariably is optimized when everybody is deployed on tasks that make the most of their skill. So when everyone's enabled to contribute to their best and highest use. So what I'm working on in PatSnap, as I have done in other companies, is let's really separate those tasks. So let's get the lead sourcing externalized and done so that the SDRs can spend all of their time doing outreach. And let's make that outreach phone-based first, because if you do get hold of someone and book a meeting, you don't need to send emails, white papers, connect on LinkedIn. You've got the meeting, you're done. AEs, in my opinion, you know, I've said this to the team, we've got one sales manager from PatSnap here. I want them to be so busy doing good SDR demos that they haven't got time to prospect. I actually had that about 12 years ago as a senior account exec myself, where I had one-on-one support by SDRs, where I had a meeting at 11 I had to prepare for, I had one at 3, and then you think you're done, there's one at 5, you're not going to get out till 8, you had dinner booked for 7, you've got to cancel it because you're going to make money from that call. That's the kind of problem I want people to have. When are you going to do pipeline generation? You haven't got time. So that's where I talk about challenging conventional thinking. Yes, of course you need to be able to do it if you need to, but why not build an engine that doesn't need it so that you're optimizing people? And then, you know, once you've sold the deal and it gets passed to account management, those people should be the ones that are closest to the customer. So they should manage the renewal. They should be able to drive more value from the product by actually recommending more product, which is the upsell, or maybe some additional products that help link various departments together, which would be the cross-sell. So really getting that optimized. So when it comes to simplification, I'm a big believer in making things super simple so that they get absorbed. I'm not, let's make it hard and grind. Let's simplify it. Let's get results. So this is the concept of the sales pie, but transformed to the SDR pie, which is really the 3 slices, equal size of equal importance. Number 1 is your data and your research, which is really getting enough clean calling data to make a day's worth of dials. So you need to work out how many dials you need to make, you know, to hit your numbers. Normally it's 1 in 30, I think, average dials to connect, maybe 3 connects to 1 meeting. So you need to do 90 dials. So getting that number and getting enough clean, ideal customer profile data loaded and checked each morning before you start. Number 2, the sales skills. And this is where, again, where we challenge conventional thinking by actually going, right, I'm going to do a phone-first approach. I'm not going to do LinkedIn. I'm not going to do an email. I'm going to try your number. If I don't get hold of you, I'll leave a very tight message, follow up with a very tight email, do a LinkedIn, and maybe send some really appropriate content. But if I get hold of you, I am going to distract you from the second you pick up. I'm not going to introduce myself. I'm not going to say who I am. I'm not going to say who I'm calling from. And I'm not going to ask you how you are today. And that's the bit that gets everybody terrified. Because these well-balanced people in SDR jobs, that's how you introduce yourself to a stranger. But imagine, you're walking along the street, you need directions to the station. You're not going to introduce yourself, give your name, and ask them how they are. You're going to go, excuse me, do you know the way to the station? And they'll either say yes or no. And they're not going to think any worse of you. Now, when you're interrupting a complete stranger in their working day, it's a very similar model. So it's the why you, why now model. That's fairly familiar, but how you deliver it, the phone picks up, hit them with value. So, James, we're going to practice with you, right?
Go on.
Phone rings.
Ring, ring.
Is that James?
Yes.
James, hi. I'm calling you because I know that you do events and you fill rooms with people.
That's right.
I'm calling you now because I've got a technology that can help you maximize the attendance of those events. Have you got a minute?
Yes, I have.
Thank you very much. My name is, I'm calling from.
Done.
Are you all right today? So it's really that distraction. You're suddenly going from being an irritant to actually having drop value. And if it's done in the right way with the right research, which is the first part of the pie, it works really well. But it terrifies SDRs to try it. So I'll often role play it with them. I'll say, what's your hobby? Ring, ring. Right, I'm calling you because I know that you're a bodybuilder. I'm calling you because I'm opening a gym next to your house. 3 months free. Have you got a minute? Yeah, I do. So that's the way I get that one in. Drop value immediately. And then finally, the thing that I'm really here to talk about, the activity dilemma, which is really the one that I think can destroy SDR cultures, where it's right, we're going to have a dialing day today, or we're going to do 150 dials, or we're going to set activity metrics. Those, in my experience, always get gamed. When I was at Xerox, people called the talking clock. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But, I've got my dials up. I've called the talking clock 10 times in a row. Or, you ring up, so they answer, you hang up because you don't want to speak to them. That's pretty normal in a lot of SDR teams. So what I got to build a brand new SDR organization a couple of years ago, recruited a manager and a team of 20. And, they were there at the end of the day going, oh, no one picked up. It's a slow day. And it sounds like you're blaming the day for being slow and blaming people for not picking up. I said, what you should be doing is saying, right, have I got enough people to call? Have I tried calling them enough times to give me a chance to get hold of them? And have I got the skill to distract them? So that's where this whole program really got formalized. And I created a currency, which is really this last slide, which is really what I'm here to talk about, which was, I don't care how many dials you make, I care how many meetings you book. And actually, I don't care how many meetings you book. I care how many of those convert into a sales cycle. And really, we don't even care about that. We care about how many we win and how quickly and for how much. So I said, look, if we can't get any meetings, let's at least get the dials up. So we said, right, let's set the target. Come ready with 100 ideal customer profiles prepared, and be prepared to dial them all today. Now, SalesLoft or any other outreach technology, for example, you can easily do 1 dial a minute. So if you do 40 dials in an hour, to be reasonable, you're done by lunch. It's perfectly acceptable. So we did 100 dials, and we said for every meeting that you book, we'll take 30 dials off. So actually, you probably end up only having to do 40 or 50, which is the SDR average. And so as you see on this slide, we stopped all the dysfunctions and said, right, it is primarily activity. Be prepared to do the dials, but if you don't make them, then you failed. And that was the final piece of this project, which was to prepare you ultimately. For me, internal SDRs, they're not really SDRs, they're trainee AEs. I said to them, if you do 99 dials, as this model shows, you've got example 1 here. I've done 20 dials, I've booked 1 demo, I get 30 dial credit, I'm on 50. I book another demo, I do another 20 dials, gets me another demo, I'm on 100, I've hit my target and go home. No anxiety, no issues. However, if I've done it the same way, but only done 19 dials, I'm on 99, I've missed. They say, well, that seems a bit silly, that seems a bit, pernickety. So I said, okay, well, maybe in this scenario it is, but when you're in sales, you've got a 100K target, you've got 5 deals worth 20K, and you nearly win them all. How much commission are you going to earn? And then they realised nothing. So, welcome to sales, I said. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job. Great start. Thank you very much. So on to our next speaker. There's having done this 5 years, there's individuals that I've kind of been wanting to get on stage for a long time, and Jamie's definitely one of those. So Jamie's currently the Chief Revenue Officer of Mburst, and he's going to be talking about from singing to selling, a tech life less ordinary. He's currently responsible for the growth and strategy and revenue goals at Mburst, but he's got over 25 years of experience. Companies like SAP, Hybris, Marketo, they got acquired by Adobe. Most recently, he was part of building out Exactly, sales compensation platform, as CRO. I know he's been advising Cobra, who are in the room, that are a growing sales compensation platform. And also he's just deeply passionate about empowering and motivating others. So looking forward to this inspiring talk. Can we have a round of applause for Jamie, please?
Thank you. I think with that title and that introduction, he might just have oversold it a little bit, but I'll do my best nonetheless. Thank you, James. I tell you what, first of all, I did say this to you. I'm massively impressed at your ability to bring all of these people together. And that was a great talk as well, Gerard, so thank you for that. From singing to selling, do you know, I used to be embarrassed to say when I started my career in tech, I actually hid it, that I'd sang at all, or, being in a band and all that type of thing, because I thought it would make people think I was less serious. So I never told anybody about it, right? And it's only been recently that I've kind of went, probably in the last 10 years, that some of the things I learned then have actually set me up for, for the career that I had. There's a little bit of showmanship in sales. I'm not going to demonstrate any of that tonight, right? But there is a little bit of showmanship, of course. There's resilience. And the resilience that comes from a lot of rejection. And let me tell you, people, I have had a lot of rejection over those years. From being rejected, I think I actually signed to Warner Brothers Records, or WEA, when I was 17, right? And this is why I'm going to say beware of labels, because this is the number one thing, beware of labels. But I signed to WEA straight from school. And I thought, this is it, right? I've made it. I'm going to be like Bob Dylan or the Beatles, a wee singer-songwriter from Scotland. I'm going to follow in Roddy Frame's footsteps. Does anybody know who Roddy Frame is? Yeah, people with grey hair at the back know who Roddy Frame is, right? But thank you. So I thought that, but actually they thought I would be better, and my wee partner, wee Mick, that we would be better if they made us like Wham, right? Now, that kind of didn't work for me. I've never got the dancing right? It's a musician's curse that we just can't dance. So that never came off. But what I realised, and it lasted 6 months, so they rejected us because we were miserable and we hated it, and we're staying in Camden. That didn't make us miserable, if there's anybody from Camden here. But we were staying in Camden. Anyway, I learned that people want to put you in a label. They want to put you in a neat little box, right? And through my career, I think I've always tried to break free of that box. I remember reading The Art of War a long time ago. And there was a thing in The Art of War which stuck with me, which was Sun Tzu said, opportunities multiply as they are seized. And it really stuck with me because every opportunity, every new opportunity, because I actually started as a developer. Right, I actually started writing code. By the way, when I was in a band, I didn't want to tell people that I wrote code. So there's a kind of irony there. I thought, this is not going to make me sound cool, right? But I did, because it's the only way I could make money. Being in a band for about 10 years is a get poor very, very quickly plan, right? And it lasts a long time. So anyway, at 27, I kind of grew up. And I decided I'm going to follow this tech career. But as I said, those wee lessons that I learned along the way, I think were really key. Resilience was definitely one of them. Taking opportunities and eschewing from labels that people are going to give you. I want to talk about that in a wee minute, was another one. Hard work. Just working hard. Whatever you do, be passionate about it. And I found passion in technology, whether it was building out, new, at the time, CRM technology platforms, and then going in marketing. I took on a CMO gig at one point because I thought the way that, is there any SAP people in here? Yeah. I thought the way SAP marketed at that point in time was bloody horrible, right? It was not simple. They reveled in their own complexity. So messages that went to customers weren't great. It was really, really complex. So simplifying that and becoming a marketing leader, I felt was the best way to do it. I was maybe wrong, but I thought it was the right way to do it. And so that kind of led me into that role. One thing I think is, what I'm really passionate about now is leadership, as you know, James, right? And I'll talk about my 3 kind of leadership principles. But when I went into leadership at first and I was building out teams, I came across this group of people who were a lot younger than me. And at the time, we just lumped them into a group and we labeled them millennials, right? And we said kind of they were quite horrible and they wanted everything now and they were impatient. And I hated that. I really did, because what I saw when I was interviewing these, kids straight out of university at 23 and 24 years old, I saw the same passion and desire that I had, when I was that age. I saw people that wanted to make an impact. I wanted to do that. And I saw people who were a hell of a lot more together than I was at 23 and 24 years old, when I was hanging out, on occasion with Sean Ryder. So I thought to myself, these people have got their lives together, and I was in awe of them. And so I wanted to develop that talent, and kind of give them principles and guidance. And it's been really nice just watching over the last 10 years some of these people go into, their first leadership roles, in their mid-30s, to feel, equipped for it, which I think is amazing. And there were kind of 3 things. And some of it, one of them in particular you touched on. 3 principles. Number 1, lead with value, right? Number 2, compete with integrity. And number 3, simplify everything. Now, lead with value. As a leader, you want to provide value for your team. You want to be able to communicate, with them and to give them a framework for success. What does value creation look like? How do you do it? So I focus a lot of time on that. The other thing about value is, what is the value that your technology, remember I'm in SaaS technology, what does your technology do for the customer, right? Because I'll tell you this right now, there is no customer in the world, whether you're HSBC, Procter & Gamble, Big Pharma, whatever, nobody in any of those companies wakes up in the morning and says, today, I am going to buy technology. Not a single person. What every single person is looking for is an outcome for their business. That's very, very clear. An outcome which either grows the top line or returns value and margin to the bottom line. Now, they have problems in their business, and our job is to find out what those problems are and align our solutions to them in a way that articulates the value that we have. So everything that I do, every company that I go to, I focus on building out some kind of value engineering capability that gets people to be able to articulate what it is we do as an outcome for a business. That's number 1. Compete with integrity. Compete with integrity is really important. You never know where you're going to end up. You might end up working for the competition, as I have. In fact, my first gig after working at Graham Technology way back in Scotland in 1998 was to go to Siebel Systems, and we competed massively with Siebel. I always respected them, and I was brought up to respect them. And going to Siebel Systems as well, again, we were a company that absolutely respected the competition. And the thing you've got to find, and why I love competing, why I love that, and I always, as I said, I make it a key thing of wherever I go, compete with integrity, is your calling card. What you leave with a customer or anyone is your integrity, so you never compromise it. If you lead with value and you focus on the things that the competition either strategically are unable to do or systematically unwilling to do, and you take those things and you turn them into your strength, then you always compete with integrity. I also love just compete. See, when a salesperson says, it's just us, it's our deal to lose, I shit myself a little bit when a salesperson says that, because the competition being there validates that there's a decision to be made. If you're in on your own, no decision. It's not important enough. There's not enough people involved. And evaluation means that they're looking at something else. So you just got to be out there and win it. And then the third thing, and I swear to God, this is the last thing I'll say. The third thing, simplify everything. As a leader, our job is to remove all of the complexity in the organization, both for our salespeople, but also for our customers. Sometimes, right at the last minute, it can come down to how easy you are to do business with. So when a customer at that last minute is looking for, I want to know if you'll give me 10x limit of liability, they're onto your legal team, and you take 7 days to get back to them. In the customer's mind, this is a problem for you. And this is a simple ask. So if it takes you that long, then there's an issue. So again, understand, get decisions made faster, make contracts really, really simple for customers to deal with as well. Bring your legal into everything. You know, when we do, you know, like our deal reviews, or we do every month end, we have a war room where we just line up all the deals, make sure there's a legal against it, make sure finance are happy with it, all that type of stuff. Simplify the hell out your business and you'll win. And that's about it for me. I'm so happy I was here tonight because, you know, when you booked me for this, it was 3 weeks ago. I had no idea what Celtics games were. I had no idea. And we're playing Feyenoord in about 20 minutes, right? But I came, so you're good. All right, guys, thank you very much.
Well done, thank you. Incredible. James says you only get your fee if you stay all night, though. Our next speaker is Carl Corell. Carl's come all the way from Sweden yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, about right. Is that right? Yeah, oh, it is right. Not about right. It is right? I have a hard time remembering where I'm at. Fair enough, fair enough. Hard time remembering where he's at. Carl is the CRO and co-founder at GetAccept, one of our partners and sponsors. His title of his talk today is 12 Months of Radical Change, how we have changed our sales process and org to win the toughest, through the toughest of times for B2B SaaS. Company that I've been watching and admiring for the last couple of years. They've done some incredible stuff. He's the co-founder, as I say, and the CRO of GetAccept. It's an all-in-one digital sales room platform that enables revenue teams to increase win rates by engaging and understanding buyers from opportunity stage through to deal sign stage. What's incredible is that they've raised more than $30 million in venture funding from Bessemer Venture Partners, Y Combinator, Amino Capital, and DN Capital as well. Carl has previously co-founded several companies and has an extensive experience in scaling SaaS sales, go-to-market, leadership, and business development. And outside of GetAccept, Carl enjoys helping other founders and riding bicycles up mountains, apparently. So looking forward to hearing from Carl, who's travelled in yesterday. Carl, would you like to come up to the stage? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I think that's it. Do you? Yeah, I can click. It's fine. Sure? Yeah, it's on here? Yeah. That's good. Perfect. Let's see here. Nice to see everyone. Fantastic to be here. I actually spoke on the Salesforce office just before lunch for 800 AEs, and the attention wasn't not that great because the lounge was just over there, like you can smell it. So it's nice to actually be when people seem happy. I see some smiles on their faces. But anyhow, it's fascinating to listen. I sat nodding when Jamie was speaking. There was a lot of I think it's going to get into that in my talk, but I usually find myself the luckiest person when I'm the most stupid person in the room, which has been in a lot of occasions, but I'll get to that in a second. I want to talk a little bit about, let's see if this works. It went better than Salesforce. I had this clicker that went back and forth, and it was a really tough talk, and it was a lot of more people in that room, and I kind of stumbled a lot. But anyways, I think the case is here. You're sales leaders in this room, and I think talking about the reality of what we're facing at the moment is that this is absolutely the toughest time to be in a venture-backed business, to be in B2B sales, but particularly in B2B SaaS. It's the toughest it's ever been, and probably the toughest we're ever going to experience. You talk about being SDRs and BDRs, not knowing how it is to sometimes being able to be an order taker because you have inbound coming through the door and you have product market fit. But I think the case is, it's a year of radical change where it's been 12 months or 18 months, people have been changing. If you don't change, you're going to die. And that's quite simple. And I think you talked about people here being laid off. I think that's the effect of the companies not taking action too quickly. And I actually thought about I like quotes. I thought we're in the UK. We'll talk. Winston Churchill is the man behind this quote. Our CFO is in the room today. By the way, a former SDR of mine on one of my companies previously. So our CFO books meetings. By the way, you're talking about leading with example. But I think I'm a half, and we talked a bit about this, and you have a very inspiring story that I want to listen to sometime. Rowing across the Atlantic over almost 90 days by yourself. Very impressive. But I think you can look at certain things with half glass empty, half full, etc. But I'm a person, I'm more the half full. I'm very positive. I see opportunity when things are maybe a little bit tougher at times. And I think about this is more about the motivational thing. The people who are willing to truly fight when things are tough are the people who are able to gain so much more ground than everyone else. So if you're part of a business that are facing competition, your competition will dwindle and die if they're not fighting hard enough. If you're a sales leader and you have all these other people competing for your job, you're willing to fight harder. Hard work is a non-negotiable, and people have had that discipline and motivation will succeed. And that's kind of how I view it from our perspective. We've gone through we're venture-backed, we've burned a lot of cash, you have to turn around, you have to change. We're creating a new software category. I'm not going to speak at all of what we do, but it's been some tough times, and it hasn't been smooth sailing from our perspective either. And I don't like, as a founder, I spent almost 10 years in Silicon Valley. I hate the essence when you kind of paint that demigod idea of founders that everything's easy, everything's just flowing through, but that's not the reality. It is like this, and I think if you feel like that at the moment, I just want to send you a little bit of extra good energy that's the case for everyone, even if things look great. So to provide a little bit more context, we're a B2B SaaS business. We sell B2B, so take everything I say today with a little bit pinch of salt. And my recommendation, and I love the word inspiration. So if I'm able to find something here that you can apply, one thing or two things or three things, don't try to do too many things at once. If I can find one thing, and I think Jamie said a couple of things that recent with me that I'll bring to our next Sales All Hands, and I'm going to happily rip it off and give you credit. But there's nothing in my life that I've done that doesn't come from someone else or inspiration from someone else. So again, don't have too much pride in that you have to create brand new things. Learn from the best. But I'm going to talk a little bit what we've actually practically done to turn around quite of a challenging time as a business. And hopefully there's a couple of golden nuggets here for everyone inside. So we have significantly invested in revenue operations, and particularly around, and you spoke a little bit before about data, right? Having the correct ICP. The difference is, if you think about businesses today, you maybe revised your ICP 3 months if you were really good and had a good team that could do it every 6 months, 12 months, some people on, 3-year basis. But today, things are changing so fast. You may have an ICP. We had, for example, a huge chunk of our revenue in B2B SaaS and other tech companies like ourselves. What happened 12 months ago? Cash is gone. people have no money to invest. They lay off 20, 30% of their workforce. So we started looking at these things and did like a win-loss analysis and started looking at the revenue. We had a tough quarter in Q2. Why did our win rate go down? And we identified certain levels of how many people have let go, and there's no decision every single time. Didn't matter if we have perfect product market fit, and I came with the best solutions they've ever heard. So we took them out, fully out of it, revising our ICP, looking at these numbers. And the second part then, you have to invest then in data analytics. So we've hired, apart from using all the platforms that you saw, we purchase a lot of tech internally, and we try, our CFO is here, and we're trying to, of course, cut our tech spend as well. So I'm not going to say too much what I want to invest. I'll have to have a good business case, even as a founder, right? But invested in a couple of people. We actually invested in 3 full-time people, adding value to that data that we were not able or not frequent enough to get from partners like ZoomInfo or Casper and Direct Phone to really iterate quickly. So we have a group of people who sit down, a go-to-market team, to iterate the ICP. So again, ICP, it's a living organism. Live by it, because it's going to be a reality for a long time. The other part is continue to see there support services to get people more effective. I think when it comes to sales enablement, it's so important. People significantly underinvest when it comes to sales enablement. And people are facing a situation today that even if you're on the same ACV, competing in the same market, those deals need more training, more understanding, because I think everybody here who's selling knows that you need more support from procurement, from finance, at your buyers. You need to engage more C-level people, and the vast majority of people are not equipped to make this happen. So you have to choose very quickly, and I come from a Silicon Valley background where it's hire quickly, fire quickly. I don't believe in the hire quickly, but I believe in the fire quickly. And I talk about let go here, but try to upskill people, make an assessment, and it necessarily, some of your top performers performing well in a certain SMB segment are not going to be able to make it in a more mid-market or enterprise sale. So assess them, are you able to upskill them? And be the better man and be the better leader in those situations. Actually tell them you're not going to make it, and it's not their fault, it's things that are changing. Help them to move on and have an exit strategy for those people. And I think as a good leader, not just a manager, you help them to find the next best opportunity and give them advice of where they should go. So that's just another thing about how you treat your people when they leave. And I think about integrity. With Jamie, you said a lot of things that reasoned with me today. But I think also to making people successful, because salespeople, everybody in here are competitive. I'm hoping that's the case. We want to hit our quota, we want to earn money, we want to make our career paths. And if you allow for better support and actual higher quota capacity, you can have fewer reps, being more cost efficient, and it's easier to manage as well, because you don't have a head count of 10, 12 direct reports to a sales manager, for example. They can have 6 or 7 instead, which is more of an ideal head count, for example. It's challenges that we've had and realizations that come for us at GetAccept. The last thing I want to talk about is also just the sales organization. We have also at the same time moved up market. So our reps are not just facing more complexity on the average deal, we're pushing them up market at the same time. And our solution to that is we had an organization with sales directors who handled both new business and expansion and had account managers and AEs. Instead, we've started to specialize our teams to truly focus on new business or expansion business and putting them together to ensure we reach higher efficiency. So that's one way. It's not an easy change. That takes time. It's going to be hurt. It's going to hurt. We're in 7 different countries. There's a lot of employment law, but you have to change early. These are things we started changing 12 months ago, where we see them bearing fruit nowadays. So again, you have to change quickly. Then it comes to communication. I spoke, I don't know if people, but I had another, again, I rip everything off from people that I find that are very intelligent. I was at the event with some of the people who are here, some fantastic CROs, and Alex Ollie at ReachDesk, a London-based company or a New York-based company, he spoke about radical transparency in what's happening and talking to reps about their challenges, about where we're headed, how tough it is. And I think it's so important as sales leaders, we talk about this, what we do about it and how we support them. So if it's tough, don't sit and try to sugarcoat things. Be honest with them what they need to do to succeed. And I think hard work is a non-negotiable in today's environment. At the end of the day, if people are committed to those core values and the coat of arms, the standards you have for your sales department, again, quick exit strategy for those people. But transparency is necessary. Then I think the last thing I want to mention, you have to lead by example. If you're going into a new market, revising your ICP, I have to be in those situations. We do call blitz every Wednesday to boost our outbound because we have had a decrease in outbound. I'm sitting there dialing. I'm the first one on the phones. We can get our CFO to join at times to showcase no one's too big enough, too big for the role or the title to not sit down and pick up the phones. So I think those are a couple of things that you can do to truly, at the end, inspire people to be great and produce great results instead of just managing people to tell them what to do. And as my best mentor I've ever had, a person convinced against their will are of the same opinion still. So inspiration is the key on getting people to align quickly. So to summarize everything, focus is key. ICP is a living organism. And when it comes to be transparent, be abundantly clear what's necessary to do to succeed. And even at those terms, you may not succeed either. And that's obviously a potential outcome. At the end of the day, you have to lead by example. You can't expect your reps to go above and beyond if you as a leader are not willing to do the same. And then we talk about, this is coming from our internal business all hands and decks, the air kickoff. We talk about aligning the vectors. And this is a different point. How do you get all parts of your go-to-market, your engineering teams, to actually build software? Ship partnerships, say no to the partnerships that are not in the revised ICP. Send the correct part of the organization together so you have as many touch points as possible, because if you don't have great stakeholder engagement across all different departments with your ideal customers, you won't win them today. And again, on top of that, hard work is a non-negotiable. So yeah, that is it. Hopefully you had something that came out of this.
Well, good job.
7 minutes?
Bottom.
Almost.
Good man. Okay, so we've got our final speaker. Before then, we head into the Q&A, and then I can give you an update on the Sales Confidence membership for your teams. This one's quite personal. Some of you may or not be aware, but I used to have a high-performance rowing background. I never represented my country, and I kind of put all my effort and energy into building sales confidence to have my own brand that I could wear. But one thing I never, ever considered was rowing across the Atlantic. So this next speaker has clearly achieved a monumentous achievement, and really looking forward to hearing her journey and story. So Laura is currently the Director of UK and European Sales at Conseil. She's going to be talking about navigating the tech sea, empowering women beyond degrees, and drawing resilience from her ocean rowing story. She's got a successful background at companies like Deep Instinct, VMware, and Cisco. She's an accomplished cyber sales professional. And she's passionate about safeguarding customers, evolving cyber threats, and utilizing top-tier solutions. Earlier this year, she achieved the remarkable feat of independently, so by herself, rowing across the Atlantic Ocean. And this put her among only 23 women that have ever achieved that goal. And she's been passionate about the sea and was a yacht skipper from the young age of 21. So can we have a massive round of applause, please, for Laura? Good luck.
Thank you very much. Oh, well, there's a lot more people in here now than I didn't realise. Okay, can everyone hear me? I could have just had about an hour to talk about rowing, but 7 minutes is actually quite hard to try and get everything I need to talk about. And I think we've all been kind of having the same conversation. So yes, so my name is Lara Vafiadis, so I've been in cybersecurity for a couple of years and tech. It was my second career, as James mentioned, so I was a freelance yacht skipper for about 6 years. I had a lovely life, if I'm being really honest. When I'm sat on Zoom calls and I'm having a very tough day, I kind of want to be back on the boat, but that's an entirely different talk that I'm not really going to focus on. So the main thing that I really want to talk about today is, yes, I spent 98 days rowing across the Atlantic Ocean solo for charity. It was a combination of rowing 17 hours of the day, every single day. I think when everyone seems to go to the gym, how long do you spend on a rowing machine? 10 minutes? 20 minutes? Anyone who spends any longer than 20 minutes is insane. But it's all part of that environment, kind of being out on the ocean. I went through storms, capsizes, and just total physical and mental exhaustion. But it showed me one thing, And that was the power of never giving up. And it's also focusing on, I grew up in a very well, kind of lovely family. My father specifically was incredibly supportive of me. And he always had the mentality that don't look left, don't look right, just focus on what you want to do. And actually, in those 98 days, I had everything go wrong. I had electrical failures, I had capsizes, I was stuck in my cabin for 5 days because I was in a storm that I genuinely could not row through. And it's all of these things and having that not giving up attitude, which has kind of got me to where I am today. I also realized if I ran out of my favorite snack, absolutely fine. I can just continue. It's salt and vinegar hula hoops, if anyone who really wants to know. They are amazing. So imagine for a moment that you're out in the middle of the open ocean. You're surrounded by water, so you can't see land at all. The waves are relentless. The wind is just, I can only describe it as trying to thwart you at every single moment, because invariably it will push you backwards, it will push you sideways, it will push you west, south, north. It will never do what you want it to do. This is the world of ocean rowing. An endeavour that requires ultimate resilience, and I think resilience has been a word that we've spoken about already this evening. In many ways, the challenges that are faced by ocean rowers, and it might be a strange comparison to make, are very similar to the challenges faced by women trying to work in tech. In tech, we often see a massive lack of gender diversity. And if I count the amount of women in this room, you're kind of proving my point, James, unfortunately. And I am the only female speaker as well. But it's what happens, unfortunately. These challenges range from stereotypes, biases, to unequal opportunities. And yes, even the absence of formal degrees. I don't have a degree. I just left school. I didn't want to go to university. There was nothing that I thought was going to get me anywhere. But it hasn't stopped me. I'm not saying that ocean rowing is a hotbed of equality, by the way. Like James said, there's very few women that have ever done what I've done. And the numbers for men is about 10 times more. However, it's really essential to recognize that just like in ocean rowing, adversity builds resilience. Ocean rowers understand that they will face storms, a lot of storms, rough seas, and long and grueling hours of rowing. But they persevere because they have that belief that they can overcome and can achieve anything. Similarly, women in tech have proven time and again that they can overcome barriers and thrive in an industry that has historically been dominated by men. I do attend meeting upon meeting where I'm the only woman in that room, and this is 95% of my meetings. The lack of diversity in our leadership teams is actually holding us back, genuinely. Just 28% of leadership roles within the largest tech companies are held by women. This number isn't rising, it's actually going down. I think it hit a high of 33. So it's such a small number of women that are in these roles within our tech companies. One of the most misconceptions, and one of the ones that I come up against when I'm actually hiring, is that overemphasis on degrees. Like I've mentioned, I don't have one, but I now sit in a director of sales role in an up-and-coming cybersecurity company. While education is undoubtedly incredibly important, it's not the only measure of a person's capability. We can all do this without a degree. If you think about ocean rowers, they don't need a degree in meteorology to read any kind of weather patterns. They don't need a master's in marine biology to read the currents. Instead, they learn through experience, trial and error. Just as many women in tech have learned through experience. We're all learning through trial and error. What's more, these unconventional ways and journeys, and obviously singers to tech is a really good example. Women who've had to break through barriers and blaze their own trails in tech obviously have a profound ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive in a dynamic, rapidly changing environment. So how do I kind of meld all this ocean rowing and women in tech together? I think we have to really focus and recognize the incredible value that women bring to our industry. We must see that there's beyond degrees and appreciate the skills that we all have. To foster meaningful change and embrace that diversity in tech, companies should take concrete actions that go beyond lip service. We can't just all talk about it. We actually have to do it, guys. We have to create inclusive hiring practices. And rather than fixating on those degrees, we have to look at companies that should focus on assessing skill, competencies, and just generally potential of that candidate. By doing so, we can unlock a wealth of untapped talent, including many highly capable women that are probably not fitting into that conventional mold. But it kind of doesn't stop there. I think we need to truly empower women in tech. Organizations should establish robust mentorship programs. I think we've all heard the word mentorship. It's key to us. These programs provide valuable guidance and help women build their confidence and accelerate their careers. I think if women had a little bit more confidence, and I've just rode an ocean, so I have a little bit, that we'd see more up here talking about all the valuable things that we want to share. Cultivating this inclusive environment should be more than just a slogan. It must be a fundamental aspect of your company's DNA. Diversity, and it's said so much, is not just a buzzword, it's key. It should be the driving force behind your company's innovation. You have to encourage open and honest dialogue within your organization about the importance of diversity and how it leads to better problem solving, creativity, and just overall success as well. When I think about the row that I've just done and spending 98 days completely alone, I had to figure out every single thing that went wrong on that boat. Everything. I became a plumber, an electrician. I mean, I'm already a rower, but everything in regards to that row, it was completely self-sufficient. It's these kind of skills that I do see in everyone. And I think I'm not just talking about diversity in women in general, but it's the one that I like to focus on. But I speak, when I'm talking to hiring people, I don't look at their degrees, I don't look at their lack of degrees. I have an open and honest conversation about what they are trying to achieve, and you will find those hidden gems within those CVs that you've probably just cast aside. I think as we move forward, we have to remember that real strength lies in diversity. Diverse teams perform better, retain employees for longer, and succeed in their goals way quicker than anyone else. We all bring something entirely different to this table. By embracing the resilience of women who are ready to chart their own course in this vast ocean of opportunity that we have in front of all of us, we can achieve new heights of innovation and success. So as I'm saying that I'm not suggesting anyone goes and rows an ocean, the blisters don't really ever go. I'm just trying to focus on that bit around just reimagining what you already believe. And within hiring, within tech, we have to focus on the individuality of that candidate. Thank you.
Guys, would you mind coming on up the stage? Thank you. Stay on there, yeah. We're just going to get the guests back up. I'm going to kick us off with a question, and then just pop your hand up while they're answering if you've got a question, and I'll come on out with a microphone and get you to ask your questions. Jamie, I'm going to focus my first question on you, if you don't mind. You talked about the millennials coming through and becoming leaders in their mid-30s. One of the challenges that I'm seeing is that we've seen such a massive hiring in the last 5 years across tech that you're seeing people go from individual contributor to leader in their mid-20s now on some occasions, which has to be a really big challenge for people. Just interested to get your commentary around that.
Yeah, it is, you know, and I'm actually glad you asked that. I wasn't expecting it, but it actually takes me to, I was actually originally, you know, after being a decent individual contributor, I was made a sales manager at 30 years old, and I was absolutely effing horrible in the job. I had no humility, right? I had no empathy. I expected everybody to do the things the way that I did them, and when they didn't, I get very frustrated. And it didn't last. And And I remember, all I remember at the time was saying, I'm never going to let that happen to anyone. And I spent the next 10 years as an individual contributor before becoming a leader again. I'm 52 now, right? And believe me, I feel it. But I'm 52 now, and those last 12 years, you know, as a leader, bringing on and supporting new leaders with proper mentorship, making sure that we find, you know, a young leader a mentor. Sometimes I'm a mentor myself, obviously. Bringing in professional coaching, particularly for sales leaders. You know, things that are really important: focus, discipline, cadence, communication, and setting them up with. I mean, I use a firm in particular that I've used now 3 times to grow next generation leaders, and it works really well. And it's just about giving them a framework to succeed, because then they create the next generation again. They're used to that focus, and it is discipline's the key word.
It's interesting because we talk about, Carl, you talked about that sort of hyper-transparency and being super honest with people. And we look at people across their career that want to be promoted at 25, 26, 27 into leadership roles. And I guess we almost have a responsibility to protect them from running into something that they could fail and not yet be ready for in terms of emotionally and just years of experience to some degree.
No, but I think it's about, again, I talked about the demigods of tech. There's a fair few of them, but those stories, other people's stories about how they failed in their career, and that actually helped them to realize things that put them a lot ahead of other people. I talked about when, you know, the winds are blowing straight in your face and not from your back, and you have tailwind. I think that's the opportunity to learn the most. But it's also about, and I do a fair bit of mentorship as well, and I think mentorship is a key part. We talked about that, but if you have talented people, make sure they get sound advice as well. And to me, early on in the career, and I was a hyper ambitious person, I couldn't rest, I couldn't sit still. I'm always been that kind, you know. If I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD yet, maybe it happens in the future, but it's about calming people down and optimize for learning rather than career. Because to me, it's the same. When you come out from, you talked about coming out from college, you're competing with 10,000 other people, 100,000 other people with the same degrees. How do you optimize so you learn as much as possible in the shortest amount of time? So next round, you're competing with 5,000 people because you're just smarter, more intelligent, have more experience. And to me, it's more about choosing your leaders and your mentors and make sure you optimize for learning as much as possible, rather than choosing what looks best on paper or gives you, you know, nice little title on LinkedIn or whatever. Choose optimize for learning, and that's the most important advice that I got, rather than trying to just push for title, salary, or whatever it is.
Indeed, very sound advice. I'm going to throw this out to the audience. If you have a question for any of our speakers, please put your hand up and I'll come on out to you over here. Just let us know your name and where you're from as well.
Sorry? Just let us know your name and where you're from. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Bas. I'm from Bluebird. We do recruitment for software companies. I was Gerard, right? Yeah. I'm really curious to hear, because you told us about SDR, like important stuff to focus on. I really like the whole talk. And then you also said something around that they should focus less on themselves and more on the customer. Right? Yeah. I think what also is super interesting to understand from your side is, how would you compensate SDRs? Because that's also hugely impacting the way they act in the business, right? So what do you say would be a good compensation plan for SDRs?
Thanks for that question. It's a great one, and I do have an answer for it. I just want to clarify on the. Did you talk about upsell in the question? For me the main message was SDRs book the meeting. You know, they get a lead sourcing ICP assistant, so they're not in the data all day long. They're on the phone. They book the meeting. The meeting gets sold by a very busy, effective AE. Then that gets passed to the account manager, who should become the closest person to the customer, who can then do renewal, upsell, and cross-sell, because it's that single point of contact. So that's a clarification on that. When it comes to the actual compensation for SDRs, I've seen various models, and none of them are optimal, because they either focus on the inputs, which can be, right, you know, a meeting that's occurred, often, you know, is it a demo completed, various numbers ranging from 10 to 18 in a month. with an element of ACV closed, which they have no direct control over, but that really ultimately is the badge of honor metric, right? You know, how much revenue am I generating over a longer time period? And I've had debates with managers to say, right, well, how should I be paid then? Should I be paid on the demo booked, on the demo completed, on it converting to an opportunity, on the amount of pipeline generated, or the ACV closed? And I said, it's no individual metric, because it can be gamed, right? Sadly, that's what we encourage people to do. It's human nature to go and find and optimize your earnings. If you're going to get paid on meetings, you're going to find ways of booking meetings. If you're going to get paid on pipeline, you're probably going to develop a relationship with your rep that influences that pipeline, you know, and so on. And so the ultimate measure of a successful SDR is the conversion tightness of the whole process. So meetings booked, yes. Meetings held, meetings turned into realistic pipeline, then the conversion of that pipeline as a ratio to closed, you know, closed one ultimately, but also looking at the loss rate as well. And having, you know, whatever appropriate metrics for your company that show that there's authenticity in the quality of the work rather than gaming it. So it can be quite complex. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a combination of the conversions, so that ACV is still part of it, but you know, you're actually looking at the quality at the top.
Any other questions from the room? Right, we've got one right at the back, and I'll run just to make use some time.
Thank you. You talked earlier about ICP being a bit of a moving target these days. For us, it took us sort of the best part of a year to properly define it and then coach it and then get people at every level selling against this sort of ICP. So I'd be really interested to know not only how you sort of switched your ICP, but then also how you then implemented that right the way through the business and were able to turn that so quickly.
I think everybody probably have. I think that's a great, and again, I think, as I mentioned before, it's depending on how your business is built, how large teams you have. Everybody probably in here is not Salesforce, so you can set 100 people in that direction for that vertical, and et cetera, et cetera. I think, again, the investment in sales enablement is so important, ensuring that you as a sales leader work with training and making sure that people have the right training to actually succeed. You can just send people in blind and hope they're going to succeed, right? So you have to be really quick and iterate on training, so you don't have some type of LMS system with updated training from 2019 on how you close a deal in a new ICP, which to be honest, when you ask people, that tends to be the ICP people laughing, but I mean, look at these things, think about these things. Then I think, again, from that perspective, I feel as a CRO, we have a team of 60 odd people in our sales team. I need to speak to those customers to actually hear them. You can do that in different ways, attend selected meetings, use Gong or Chorus or whatever it is, but I think that's extremely important to stay on top of things. And then you can also, depending on the size of your team, you can of course organize that. You probably have a team that's better to adapt quickly. So having a specific team that maybe goes in and tests those new ICPs and figure out the process. So you have more of an internal POC before you push it out to the wider team, so you can, you know, tweak the different things and change the different things that's necessary, so it's easier to get out to the masses of your sales team. But again, have trusted people that you can work with. You know what you get out of them if they succeed. You can then compare the results based on different trials and errors and different types of ICPs. But I don't think you can just change your ICP and say, this is it, we're going after it. You really need to test. You probably need to test 2, 3 at once, compare to them, because some people, you have an easier way of booking opportunities, but then conversion down the line is worse, right? At the end of the day, I always think compensate on revenue on talking about SDRs, but I love compensating as much as possible on revenue on all departments, right? Even if you're an engineer or marketing or partnership, revenue is important to compensate, because ultimately that's what we care about.
Laura, just going to move the question on, if that's all right, just quickly. I'm just really keen to hear from you on what was the moment in your row where you were closest to giving up? Because I'm guessing you obviously didn't give up, which is incredible, but I'm guessing there were moments where you felt you should. And I'm just linking back that back into Carl's point around, you know, hard work is a non-negotiable. And I guess at that point, that probably, you know, maybe in hindsight now, but would have rung true. So I'm just keen to hear a quick tale of that toughest moment.
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say because of what it was, I had a lot of motivation to not give up. I was raising money for charity, the main one being prostate cancer. My father passed away 6 weeks before I left. So the motivation there was fairly high. I think closest to giving up, I'm going to say, to be absolutely honest, there was never a moment that I was going to give up. When I had my capsize, and I remember it was like January the 14th, and I was hit by a rogue wave side on, and it capsized the boat, and I was upside down, and I thought it was a really silly way to die. That was my initial thought.
Probably pretty warm as well.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So I think that was the main, that was probably the moment, and I think actually it really helped me, because I was like, I've just managed to get through that. I've managed to get the boat back the right way up. I didn't lose too much stuff. And I carried on. So if you can get through that.
As long as you didn't lose your hula hoops, that's all we care about. Right,
exactly.
Moving on. Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? No, we've got one over here. I'm going to run this way because it's easier. Hang on.
Hi, Jack, SDR at Cognism. This is a question for Gerard. You mentioned about making sure that the activity you do is maximised and that it's relevant to your ICP. What do you think the best way is to learn the problems that are actually relevant to your ICP? For context, at Cognism, we also sell to sales leaders.
Yeah, no, thanks. Good. Appreciate the question. I think that nothing really can replace a massive amount of direct, narrow focus enablement. And so when we talk about ICPs, it really is narrowing it down to ideally the same why you, why now outreach. You know, this is why I'm calling you, this is what I'm going to fix. And actually trying to segment that amongst your SDR team so that, you know, one or two people have the same one and they can get trained to be really credible. Because that credibility, when it's dropped on someone and they know you're not wasting their time, that starts the sales cycle with a lot of trust. And then the relationship can come as a result off the back of that. But, you know, as it relates to your question, you know, for me, it's, you know, I was inspired by Mark Roberge, who wrote the book Sales Acceleration Formula. And in that book, he actually created, you know, an actual working environment for the sales reps to be doing the same work that the customers were doing, so setting up websites and driving traffic to it. And then similarly, you know, trying to get as best as possible your salespeople to experience the pain that the product solves. So I mean, at Pat Snap, it's, you know, a big part of it is simplifying the whole complexity around patent searching and making sure you're not infringing on somebody else's intellectual property. You know, we're working on a program to actually get people to go and find those manually using free tools, getting really frustrated with it and going, now log into the platform and see how much quicker it is using the tech, so that they own the solution, not just as a theoretical construct, but as something that they've actually felt as a problem solved. So anything that can be done to make that as real as possible will drive the authenticity when it comes to all aspects of the sales cycle. I mean, it's ultimately an approach to the decision maker and the pain that they feel themselves, which would normally be amplified by the pain felt downstream. It's trying to work out. I think somebody said it today. No, it was yourself, Jamie. No one wakes up thinking I'm going to buy software, but there's a latent anxieties that sit in everybody that, if they're targeted in a simple way, will be responded to. So an example would be, you know, I even used this as a coaching point earlier today. I said to one of the managers, I said, do you know what you pay for your gas bill? He told me. I said, are you sure that you're not being overcharged? He said, I'm not sure. So if you got a cold call from someone saying, you might be paying too much for your gas bill, have you got a minute just to check? You might be willing to give them a minute. I said, that's all it takes to open a sales cycle. Just go for this latent insecurity that you're not really bothered about fixing, but that's there, and just press on it and create the start of something bigger that could end up with you installing a heat pump in your house. Who knows? But if you call someone and say, would you like a heat pump in your house? You're probably going to hang up because it's too complicated. You need to get there from massive simplicity progressively to complexity. So the problem faced by the end user isn't going to be the one faced by the person picking up the phone, and that's where the research and really understanding that is critical. Without that, you're just basically hoping for a meeting.
I'm afraid we have now run out of time for questions. Carl, Lara, Jamie and Gerard, thank you so much. All of your talks were fantastic tonight. It's been one of the most successful evenings in terms of quality of talk, and all pretty much sticking to the 7 minutes-ish as well, which is outstanding. So could I just please ask you all to give all of our speakers tonight a round of applause? You can have a seat now. You can have a seat. Thank you. And welcome James back to the stage, who's going to wrap us up and talk about Sales Confidence Membership.
Yes, thank you very much. We're just going to take 5 minutes before we go and grab a beer. This is an important step in terms of the progress that we're making at Sales Confidence. Sales Confidence was set up in 2017, so this is actually our 6th year of running these style talks. And the very first event I was planning to do, I used to work for LinkedIn. And LinkedIn agreed to host the event for me, or well, I thought they did, because 24 hours before the event, they turned around and said, actually, you can't host it here. You need to find another venue. So I had to go and find another venue within 24 hours. The venue that I found, wondering why I was able to get it so cheap and at short notice, had drilling going on outside. So if you watch the original YouTube videos and every single talk we've ever done, you literally just hear drilling over the speakers. So we have come a long way since then and hosting it in venues like this. But in the last year, we've become a membership-first organisation, and that's basically at the request of the audience and folks in the room, many that I've had one-to-one conversations with about what a lot of people mentioned tonight on stage is like, how can you get better outcomes as sales leaders? How can you upskill your team? How can you improve the success of your team? And so I just want to walk you through kind of what we've put together that you can take advantage of and get part of. And then also we've got a couple of partnership and announcements to make. So in essence, you know, you've asked for this, and I've put a lot of effort over the last year on putting something together that would be valuable to you as sales leaders, but also your sales teams that you can take advantage of. And, you know, what people generally ask me when I'm having calls are, can you connect me to an opportunity? Can you help me improve the success of our sales team from a target attainment perspective? You know, can you help me get a pay rise? I want to negotiate with my boss on getting a pay rise. But often, and the essence of sales confidence is around mindset and well-being. A lot of what has been covered tonight around resiliency. And you know, Cole said it's been the most difficult period for B2B SaaS this year. That's just the reality, and it means it's tough. And a lot of the reason why you come here is because you can interact with your peers and you can see how difficult it is for each other and realise you're not alone. You know, rowing solo across the Atlantic is a solo pursuit, but actually in SaaS and in revenue, you've got a peer group here that you can be part of and lean on each other to get that success. So that's kind of the outcomes that we want to drive. Ultimately, you've seen 4 world-class speakers tonight. I'm very grateful for the fact that we literally have the most effective, world-class people in this network and have built that over 5 years. In fact, there isn't anything in Europe, I would say, maybe in the US, that comes close to the quality of leaders, coaches, mentors, and experts that we have that you can get access to. And what I've learned from listening to sales leaders over the last 5 years, 6 years, is that there's kind of 5 key shifts, and you know, you can note these down for those that are growing in your career. And ultimately, the first is like direction. You need to understand what you're working towards, the outcomes that you want to drive, what you want to achieve from a success perspective. That's the first thing you've got to think about from a high performance perspective. The second is making connections. That's what tonight's about. Like if you just walk out here after this talk and you don't make 4 or 5 good connections, you're missing a trick. You've put the effort to come here, make the connections with people, build your network. The other thing, critical, we've talked about it, we talk about it a lot, is having control over your mindset and emotion so you can navigate the challenges that are faced in this industry and also just as, you know, human beings. And then there's accountability. And without this, you're not going to achieve your goals. So having peers that hold you accountable to your goals are critically important. And then the fifth shift is one-to-one coaching sessions. And that's been highlighted in terms of the importance. And we've got an announcement around that as well. So, you know, we've evolved as a community. We're much more than just the events now. Over 100 members are subscribed. Many of them you see wearing the Langlard tonight and are already part of this community. And obviously, ideally, we'd like more of you to join us. So what does the membership mean and what does it include? So in essence, it's a annual learning and development membership for you as individuals, but also your team, from SDRs to AEs and first line leaders, and also the VPs in your room. We match you up with your own peers. We offer you peer groups that you can connect with others on an ongoing basis. We bring in world-class experts like we've seen tonight for weekly masterclasses. We have Q&As where you just blitz people at your level or above you for questions. You've got contacts to mentors, and then we've got the monthly dinners. And this is all accessible as part of the annual membership. And ultimately, if I'm honest, where I feel the magic happens is having a peer group. So Anoop Kira, some of you may be aware, I can see you nodding. He was voted the top sales leader in the UK last year by the community. He runs one of our peer groups that you can get access to. And every week, you know, imagine this. In fact, Jenny in the room, one of the members, I'll never forget her quote. She's like, you've created something where you can Google the minds of other sales leaders. You know, the problem with Google and YouTube is you just find random crap or videos of kittens. You might like kittens, but that's not going to help you grow your number or hit your target. So having a weekly group of peers that you can share your challenges, get thoughts, get feedback is super valuable. And we've got some of the top leaders running these circles that you would join. And ultimately, this is kind of programmatic. There's ongoing activities that you can get part of and benefit. Also, we are partnered with the likes of Winning by Design. We've got medic speakers. We bring in challenger experts. So in essence, I'm just leveraging the best world-class content out there, and I'm just feeding it into this membership. And it's all available 24/7 on an online platform. So the member testimonials speak for themselves. You can speak to people in the room or come and speak to me and the team. And ultimately, just to frame this so you understand what's involved, in essence, if you were to join as a Transform member, so you wanted to transform the growth of your business, it includes up to 20 sales team. So you can have 20 of your sales team or up to 20 people in that, and that's 14K per year. But if you've got a smaller team and you're a growing business, then for literally only 7K per year, it's £700 per person per year in your team, you can get access to everything we've included. But there's more. So for tonight, as we want to make this a no-brainer, for the first 10 leaders that join tonight, you'll get invited to our dinner in Mayfair on the 4th of October that we typically charge for. You'll get a coaching call with me, and also there'll be ongoing mentorship from leaders that you've seen listed on the website in our private WhatsApp group. And next, you're also, for your SDR team, Owen has now created a dedicated SDR Academy. So basically, weekly workshops for your SDRs on cold calling, email, prospecting skills, you will get access to. For your AEs, we've got access to a program from a world-class trainer called Martin Tucker. And then also, Charlie Cowan's created a RevOps maturity assessment, which basically analyzes all the data points in your business and understands the output for how you can be successful, and that is included. But there's one more thing. Kevin, can I get you up onto the stage? Can I have a round of applause for Kevin from My Sales Coach? Let's do the shake for the photo. Okay, so some of you may or may not be aware, but Kevin founded a successful business called Refract, which was a call coaching software platform that he successfully exited to Allego. We are super aligned on the value of coaching. It was mentioned tonight. So we are literally announcing this partnership for the first time here this evening. And Kevin, if you can just give an overview of My Sales Coach, what we're doing together, and what the offer is for people joining the membership.
Yeah, so just as a quick introduction to My Sales Coach, we provide a subscription service where we match each individual to the perfect coach for them. So we have a series of over 30 expert experienced coaches for SDRs, for AEs, for managers, for leaders, for RevOps teams, sales engineers, and we match each individual based on their goals, based on their career objectives, based on what they want to achieve with the right coach, whether that be someone that's really tactical, whether that be someone that's really growth orientated, whether that's someone that can help them in the moment. And yeah, as if everything that James has said isn't enough, what we've done is we've partnered with Sales Confidence, where every member is going to be, first of all, onboarded and gets matched to their own personal coach. So we help, as I say, understand the role, someone that's walked in your shoes, someone that's past is your future, to really help you on that journey. So we introduce some of our coaches. We actually ultimately let you make the decision, but we maybe make some recommendations of the best coaches. Once you've then got your coach in our platform, you can book your own one-to-one sessions with your coach, and as part of the Sales Confidence membership, you get to book 3 one-to-one sessions with your coach, as well as 6 of our group coaching sessions. So we have small cohorts, really tactical. So it's like over 100 different topics that we've covered in small cohorts. Things like LinkedIn voice notes, running a personal improvement plan, how to best use spiffs in your business. Again, sessions for SDRs, sessions for AEs, managers, leaders, etc. And that's now all included as part of the Sales Confidence membership.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Kevin. In all honesty, the value of that alone is more than what we're charging for accessing your team. I honestly just want to make this a no-brainer for people. So Stevie and Alex are in the room. You can come and talk to me about it. I know there's quite a lot of you that are already, in the process of getting signed up or considering it. Let's just get it done and get you onboarded. And then ultimately, my goal is for you to transform yourselves as individuals and reach your potential, and also maximize the growth of the businesses that you contribute. And ultimately, I will come into your business and kick this off with your team, included in the offer tonight. So thank you for listening. Thanks for being part of tonight's event. Look forward to speaking more. Enjoy the networking. Have a good night. Thank you all.